peoples? I'm here to say what my personal opinion on what's wrong with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Seems like everyone's talking about this. Everyone's got an opinion. So I'm here to state mine. Now, what makes me qualified to have an opinion? Simply this. I have the internet and an opinion. Which is the same as just about everybody else starting their shit. You know, most people aren't even qualified to have an opinion. But, you know, they're like assholes. We all got one. So, I'm going to give you mine. But I will say this. I have been reading comics before I could read. Meaning, like, when I was, like, 6, my brother used to, like, read me comics before we went to bed. So, we're talking about well over 45 years of comic book knowledge and experience in here. Not that I remember everything, and I'm not like one of those people who remembers every little detail. I can't tell you what happened in issue 5 of, like, the X-Men page 38. I can't do that. And actually, they probably didn't have 38 pages when it was issue 5. But that's a different story altogether. I will say this, yes. So I've had that many years of comic book read to me and reading experience, and I did 2.5 years of film study. So, that being said, my personal opinion of what's wrong with the MCU is absolutely nothing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with what they're doing and how they're doing it and the way things are going on. You know, a lot of people want to say things are going downhill because the movies and the TV shows are not as good as what they did the first 10 years. But understand this, on my own humble opinion. The first 10 years are mainly, not all, but mainly based on books written back in the 50s and 60s and early 70s, where the appeal was young white males. You know, young teenage boys, and rightfully so. Now, those core stories, you know, they still have a lot of those fans from that era, and especially for me, like in like the early 70s, and they were great. You know, I grew up loving Captain America. He's one of my favorites. You know, and all those characters, Thor, Iron Man, the great characters. So those stories, you know, were reminiscent of those times that we all enjoyed and very appealing to young audiences today, and reminiscent of the joy of like all those older guys from their 30s on to their even early 60s who enjoyed those characters. Now, they caught up to today, and in today's comics, I think the spectrum is much broader. I mean, you're trying to appeal to blacks, to Asians, Indian, you know, not even to mention gay, lesbian, the whole LGBTQ community. I swear, I hope I got that right. There's a bigger audience out there that want to see themselves in books, and they've done that in the books. And of course, now they're trying to take that and put it in the movies. And unfortunately, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, they're not making content for everybody. I mean, it was easier back in the day, Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four. They really were sort of like, even though different people might have had their different favorites, but they were for, you know, everybody that was interested. Now they're reaching different groups that not necessarily are for everyone. Not everybody's going to get Ms. Marvel, you know, not only because she's young, but, you know, but because of her ethnic background. It's just not meant for everybody. Not everybody's going to get Ironheart. Not everybody's going to, you know, understand a lot of the different characters and people that are out there. the new Captain Marvel, the way she is now compared to the male Captain Marvel that we grew up with, or some of us grew up with back in the 70s. But there's a broader audience for them, and they're making these things for different audiences. Period. Just because it doesn't appeal to everybody doesn't mean it's going downhill. It just means that, okay, there's a certain demographic that they're reaching for, and meanwhile they know they're still going to get a lot of people like myself because we just love Marvel that much. I didn't particularly love Ms. Marvel, but I appreciate it. I only don't like the things that really. It's not the stories; it's the way the stories are told to me that are more important. Like for instance, Thor: Love and Thunder. I think a lot of us can agree was not the greatest thing in the world, but the story was actually pretty interesting. If they had just told that story straightforward without all the extra comedy that they put into it, that was the bigger problem than the story itself. So taking that aside, because there's going to be balls that dropped. I wasn't a big fan of Captain Marvel because it's just the way they developed the character I thought was bad. So there's always going to be hits and misses. But just because something isn't a particular person's cup of tea does not mean it's a miss. The other problem I feel like people are expecting every Marvel movie to be like an epic, showstopper. Some of them are just going to be good movies. I think one movie that gets a total bad rep is Morbius. Morbius is a decent action movie. It's not, the huge, everybody's got to go see this. But I think if people just step back, stop trying to, expect everything to be epic, and just enjoy it for what it is. The new Ant-Man movie. There were one or two things they could have done that I would have, appreciated or not done. But overall, it was a good movie. Kang is fantastic, and I can't wait to see more of him. And let's not forget, none of the Ant-Man movies were great epic movies, but we've come to learn that those movies are important later on in the MCU. That's kind of cheating on Marvel's part and Disney, but at the same time, because they're forcing people to see all these different movies, but at the same time, it's like they're not, not everything's expected to be like, the big, huge money-making blockbuster. If it makes less money, Marvel and Disney still not crying to the bank. And let's be honest, if these movies weren't working, things would stop. They would stop making these movies. Look at what happened to DC. That's an example of when things go horribly wrong, someone says, we got to stop, pull the brakes, let's start over. Marvel's not doing that because they don't have to. Because even though everybody's not liking all their stuff, a lot of people still are. And a lot of people are still going to be going. So, that's my take. Like it, love it, leave it. Appreciate what's going on for what it is, and even for the things you don't like or don't see, there's no point there's no reason to trash it. Don't trash something just because it doesn't appeal to you. There's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching.